Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Northwest Craftsman. Recently I was planing some old growth pine that was extremely hard and extremely old, and my planer was struggling to work its way through. Now, I've had the original blades in this planer since the beginning, and I figured it's probably about time for a replacement. So today we're going to go through how do you replace the blades on your Dewalt 735, and I'm also going to walk you through why you may or may not actually need to replace these, because there's a couple things you can do to extend the life on these blades. Alright, let's get going. So before you start doing maintenance on any of your tools, always make sure that it's unplugged so it can't turn on you when you start working on it. Now on the Dewalt 735, the way that you access the blades is by removing these four bolts right here with the included driver on top. It is worth noting that when you're removing these, they won't actually come all the way out because they are self-retaining so that they stay in the lid. Once those four bolts are out, you're just going to lift up on this yellow part right here, and it should just slide right up and off. Next, you're going to look for these red tabs right here, which are the screws to remove the shroud so that you can access the blades underneath. Once you've removed those screws, what you're going to do is you're going to lift the shroud up and around, and it's going to unlock itself from the power dust extraction. Now in order to remove the blade, you're going to take the same driver and loosen each one of these screws until the blade comes loose. Once those bolts are loose, this cover right here is going to pop off. And this is what holds the blade in place. The blade, you can see, is held or datumed off of these two pins here, and it allows it to move left and right. Now, this is an important time to talk about why you may or may not need to replace this blade. If the problem that you're running into is that it's very difficult to run your pieces through and it feels like your planer is getting bogged down even when taking light cuts, that could be caused by two problems. First problem might be that your bed is not waxed and so it's sticking. Check to make sure that you don't have pitch, check to make sure that you don't have other debris on there, and if you haven't cleaned and waxed it in a while, take some simple green and some paste wax and clean the entire thing off so that your work pieces can slide through smoothly. If you haven't seen how to do this planer maintenance, check out my video on that. I've got all the details on how to keep this guy working in tip-top shape. The other option is that your blades are dull, and that means you're going to need to replace them. Now, if you're not running into an issue where it's having a hard time feeding your workpiece through, but instead it's leaving these lines on your workpiece because you say hit a knot, hit a nail, hit a piece of gravel that was in a tree, any one of those things can cause this. What you can actually do is you'll notice on these pins there is a small slot that you can work in. And what likely happens when you hit that kind of debris is you get a nick in every single one of your blades as it came through, because they're rotating so fast it probably hit all three. Now, instead of trying to replace the blades, what you can do is actually alternate these to slide them all the way one direction or all the way the other. So I usually take all three of them if I've got nicks, and I will rotate one all the way to the left, the next one all the way to the right, and then leave the third one put, because what that will do is it will misalign where those nicks are, and so one blade will take the nicks that another one leaves. This can extend the life on your blades just a little bit if they're not dull, they just have a couple of nicks and dings in them. However, in this case, I know that mine are dull, so I need to go ahead and replace these. The other thing to keep in mind when you're working with this is that every single one of these blades has two sides. So if you take the magnets on the back side of your wrench, it makes it really easy to grab that blade out. Now what you'll notice on this blade is that there is an edge there and an edge there. So if you've never opened this up before and you've never swapped them around, you can actually rotate them 180 degrees in the planer and get a new fresh edge on them. In this case, I've already rotated them around and both sides are dull, so I need to replace them. Before I put the new blade in here, I want to clean everything up so that it's nice and clean and there's no debris that's going to hang out on the underneath side of this blade when I install it. This is just a little bit of lacquer thinner to help cut through the grease that's on this. Now, I want to be careful when I'm using this lacquer thinner, because if it drips onto the plastic that's around the body in here, it's possible that it could eat it away. When you get to replace these guys, I've got a link in the description for where to buy them. They're pretty easy to find on Amazon or at any of your local woodworking stores. Now, they do have the note to open with care, because these guys are usually razor sharp when they come out of the package, so you want to make sure that you're not handling them on either of the blade edges, you're just handling them on the top and the bottom. They also come with a healthy serving of machine oil on them left over from the manufacturing process. I'm going to go ahead and wipe that off with the same rag that has the lacquer thinner on it. Again, being very careful of the edges because they are sharp. Next, when you go to install the blade, make sure that you're aware of the orientation of the blade as it's supposed to go in. Normally when I'm working on a machine, I know that I've installed it correctly the first time or it came in correct from the manufacturer, and so I just pay attention to what orientation the blade was when it came out. However, if you for some reason forgot or you disassembled things too quickly and you don't remember, on this particular planer, the correct orientation for the blades is on the blade that looks like a parallelogram, you've got a long side and a short side with two of the sharp edges. The short side is going to be facing out towards you, so we're going to set the long side down. So to actually get ready to install this, what we're going to do is attach that wrench with the magnets back to the top here, and then I'm going to put it onto the datuming pins down there. Now, to make my job a little bit easier, if I've got nicks and scratches, what I'm going to do is start by biasing first to the right, then to the left, and then just trying to get it just about centered on the third one that I install. This will make it a little bit easier if I get a nick later to just immediately know which direction I need to move things. There you go. So now that it's installed, I'm going to move this one all the way to the right. And what we're going to do is replace this plate onto it. Gently install all of the screws before you finally tighten them down. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place the screws into each one of the holes, not tightening them all the way down until you get to the very last step. And then I'm going to try and rotate through, going outside, inside, so that I can evenly cinch this thing down. Once you've got your first one installed, repeat this for the second two, and I'll see you guys back here in just a second when I finish that up. Remember what I told you about the blades being sharp? Yeah, good reminder. They are actually sharp. The machining oil that's left on them after the manufacturing process will sometimes stick them together, so when you're trying to peel the blades apart, be really careful. This one just kind of popped apart and it just barely touched me, but yep, they're still sharp. All right, so the last interjection as I'm getting this finished up, in order for you to rotate the shaft around, you need to depress this sheet metal shaft right here, or the sheet metal sleeve. That allows the angled shaft over here to rotate freely rather than getting stuck up against it. After getting the blades all replaced and set, now what we're gonna do is just button everything back up in reverse. So put on the shroud, put in the screws, put on the cap, and you should be good to go. Well, you guys, there you go. It's that quick and easy. If you guys are having any trouble with your planer at all in the way of the blades, just go ahead and replace those, because having sharp blades, not only in your planer, but in the rest of your shop, is just gonna make your life that much easier and means you have to use that much less effort in order to get the work done that you need to do. If you guys have any questions about what I did, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below. I do read every single comment and answer every single question that I can, so I really appreciate having you guys around. If you guys like the kind of videos we're producing here at Northwest Craftsman, we'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. So the more of you guys subscribing and liking and interacting with the channel, the better the channel does. So thank you guys again tons. I really appreciate it. I hope that you have a great time woodworking. Make some sawdust. Bye.